I never imagined a simple promotion at work could turn my entire world upside down. It began as nothing more than a harmless distraction, something to break the dull pattern of my everyday life. But that tiny spark slowly grew into a lie I couldn't take back, a secret that wrapped itself around me until I couldn't breathe. David, my husband, and I had been together for many years. We had built a steady life side by side, and to anyone looking from the outside, we appeared to be the perfect couple. He was devoted, hard-working, and committed to our future, and I truly valued everything he did for us. I worked, too, just an ordinary position in the marketing department of a mid-sized company. It wasn't glamorous, but it covered our expenses, and I never had any complaints. Nothing felt wrong. Nothing felt broken. And yet, something inside me began to shift. I still loved David, deeply, but I couldn't escape the feeling that a part of me had gone dim. The spark we once shared had faded into something colder. Our conversations had transformed into practical updates, bills, schedules, chores. We weren't strangers, but we weren't connected anymore either. Work didn't help much. I'd been there for years, and although I liked my coworkers, the routine had grown painfully predictable. Every day felt like a copy of the one before. And then Jason arrived. He joined our team as an assistant project manager, and the moment I met him, he stood out. He radiated confidence, charm, and an infectious enthusiasm that instantly drew people in. At first, everything was innocent, light conversations over lunch, casual jokes, small moments that made me smile more than I should have. Jason listened in a way that made me feel important, noticed, alive. He wasn't like the man I was used to. There was something magnetic about him, something I didn't want to acknowledge. One evening, after a company gathering, he asked if I wanted to get a drink. I agreed, telling myself it was only for the sake of being friendly. We ended up in a quiet bar nearby. Talking to him felt effortless. Laughter came naturally. For a moment, it felt like I had stepped into a different life. Then he leaned in, closer than ever before, a playful glint in his eyes. "You look amazing tonight," he murmured. My heart stumbled in my chest, and before I could stop myself, I kissed him. Or maybe he kissed me. Either way, I didn't pull away. I knew instantly it was wrong, yet I let it happen. That moment felt like a doorway out of everything heavy in my life, my routines, my doubts, my responsibilities. And when the night ended, we didn't go our separate ways. We crossed a line together. It was meant to stay a single lapse in judgment, a one-night escape I would bury and forget. But it didn't end there. It happened again, and again. Each time I convinced myself it wasn't real, that it meant nothing, that it wasn't cheating if no one found out. I hid the affair. Jason fueled the excitement I had been craving. But deep inside, I knew I was dancing dangerously close to losing everything that actually mattered. And then everything shifted again. David got the promotion he had been chasing for years, regional director, a massive step up, better pay, more influence, a real leadership role. His hard work had finally been recognized. I was proud of him, truly, but underneath that pride was fear. His new position brought him into the spotlight, connecting him with upper management, giving him a level of attention he'd never had before. And suddenly, the life I had been risking began to feel very, very fragile. David's promotion pulled him into a new world, one filled with upper-level meetings, late nights at the office, business trips, and constant responsibility. And the guilt I had been burying for months finally began clawing its way to the surface. What made everything worse was that his new role brought him closer to Jason. They now worked in overlapping departments, and I had to watch my two lives drift dangerously close to each other. Every time I saw them in the same room, my stomach tightened. I knew the situation could explode at any moment. Jason had changed, too. He grew colder, more controlling, and our interactions no longer felt like something thrilling. They felt like a ticking time bomb. But despite knowing how risky everything had become, I couldn't pull myself out. I had created a trap, and I was caught inside it. Then came the day everything collapsed. I walked into the living room after work and found David sitting motionless on the couch. His skin looked drained of color, his eyes fixed on his phone, as if he had been staring at the same screen for hours. There was something eerie in the silence. "We need to talk," he said, barely above a whisper. A chill ran down my spine. In that instant, I knew what was about to happen. David lifted his phone with shaking hands. I saw a message, he murmured, from Jason. I know what's been going on. I want you to tell me the truth. My breath locked in my chest. I couldn't form a single word. I had always been able to talk my way through anything, but not this. The weight of my silence told him everything he needed to know. I'm sorry, David. I finally managed to say, my voice barely audible. I never meant for any of this to happen. It was a terrible decision. I never wanted it to go so far. His expression hardened as he listened. A terrible decision, he repeated, anger rising in his voice. You deceived me for months. You pretended everything was fine. And now you expect me to believe this was just a mistake. I never wanted to hurt you, I pleaded, tears burning my eyes. I didn't mean to betray you. But it didn't matter. The damage had already been done. David rose to his feet, pain and fury twisting across his face. I trusted you, he said, his voice sharp and trembling. And you destroyed everything we built. Without another word, he walked out the door. My world shattered in an instant. The man I had shared my life with, the man who had loved me more than anyone, was gone. And the only reason was my own choices. I tried calling him in the days that followed, tried apologizing, tried explaining, tried anything that might soften what I had done. But he didn't want to hear it. David was finished, with the lies, the betrayal, and with me. I couldn't even blame him. I had torn apart his trust. I had pushed him away without even realizing it. And now he wanted nothing to do with me. Jason disappeared just as quickly. The moment David confronted me, Jason vanished. No calls answered, no messages returned. It was painfully clear that to him, I had only been a brief thrill, nothing more. I had destroyed my marriage for someone who never saw me as anything meaningful. So there I was, alone, abandoned by both men, left to face the aftermath of my own decisions. I learned the most brutal lesson of my life. Every action has a consequence. Something that feels harmless in the moment can demolish everything you value. And the trust of the person you love is the most delicate thing you'll ever hold. Once it breaks, rebuilding it is almost impossible.